everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the TB&J podcast. With me today, Troy Brittingham.
And you're Jeff Ackerman, and that's it.
Chris! Hi!
Hi!
You're back!
I'm back.
Wow, all the way back here in PA.
Yeah, Chris
Yes,
came all the way back to Pennsylvania. Took a plane and just flew all the way here
And
just for
we'll
one
be
night.
doing so every week.
Well, I left my body behind. I'm actually just astral projecting into Jeff's living room.
Ooh, like Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi.
I was going to say Doctor Strange.
Yeah, and at the end of this call, I'll fucking die.
This is a very important podcast. We have to get this one right.
This is the last episode Chris will be in. All right, in case you can't read, this is The Rings of Power, the pilot and the second episode, only on Amazon Prime. Not sponsored.
Specifically, Lord of the Rings of Power. It's Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I'm not doing all that. It's just The Rings of Power.
It's
a very
actually the
weird
Wonder
title.
Twins, and we're using their decoder rings.
Oh, that makes so much more sense.
Can you name the Wonder Twins?
Fuck no, I can't.
Zan and Jan.
You're a nerd.
And theme song time.
TB&J! 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 TB&J!
Chris, don't you just miss that raw punk rock energy?
God, if only I could actually hear the guitar instead of just John shouting TB&J like 7 times.
Well, that's what happens when you're still in Washington and we're in Philadelphia. All right, so we saw The Rings of Power. Now, for those of you who are not super familiar with the way we do things by the rules of the internet, which means everything is either good or bad. There is no middle ground. There is no gray area, because that confuses us and makes us angry. So, we're going to go with a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Was it good or bad?
Is this combined both first episodes?
Yes, this is going to be like our first impressions. So, Troy, thumbs up, thumbs down.
I think that I am optimistically and hesitantly thumbs up.
Ooh, okay. Chris, how you feeling?
Mine is definitely a thumbs up, but like a diet thumbs up.
Okay.
A diet thumbs up. Okay. So I'm a thumbs up, but I have absolutely no hesitation with that. I was blown away by these first 2 episodes, and I'm very curious to hear what you guys did not like about it. Chris, I haven't heard from you in so fucking long. Let's start with you. Tell me some of your gripes and bitches about this episode.
So, it's been a very long time since I've watched The Lord of the Rings. I've also never read the books.
I think I'm in that same boat as you, Troy. Books?
I have read The Hobbit, and I watched all 3 of the original movies recently.
Okay, that's good. I should have watched them recently if I was a good podcaster doing my homework. I just didn't have a spare 3 weeks to watch them. So
I watched it before we knew we were doing this in general, so it just lined up.
fair enough. Back to you, Chris. Continue.
Yeah, so I was
Back to
talking
you.
to one of my friends earlier, and they asked me how I thought of it. It has like the same tone and like the attention to settings detail is there from the original movies, from what I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
Certain things don't match up with Tolkien's lore. Like, one of the big things is that female dwarves are supposed to be bearded. And so a bunch of people are getting butthurt about that. And I don't really care. But at the same time, that's probably a detail they could have easily done.
They probably could have and didn't for the sake of, like, the audience or something like that. Like, oh, clearly that's the female because she has a beard. She has no beard. But who knows, man? I also, if I remember, and I don't actually, I didn't read the books. I only watched the movies. I remember it was like a throwaway joke by Aragorn about the women having beards. I didn't know if that was like a real thing or not.
Yeah, it was Gimli joking around that he said that some people thought that there were no female dwarves because they all have as big bushy beards as the men.
Okay. That whole conversation felt like a joke to me between Gimli, Aragorn, and what's her name? The woman who ended up killing the Witch King?
Éowyn? There's Éowyn and Arwen, which is very confusing.
Yeah. Éowyn, who had the crush on Aragorn, but he didn't reciprocate because he was in love with Éowyn. Arwen.
Yep.
Jesus, you're right. It is confusing.
Oh, and
it's been a few.
Just to provide like a bit of background on this series, Amazon purchased the rights to some like appendices on Tolkien's work. So like none of this stuff that's being produced right now is actually based on anything in The Hobbit, The Silmarillion.
Yeah, it's not Peter Jackson tie-in or anything like that.
I noticed that it was surprisingly lacking any Peter Jackson names in the credits, and I was like, that's interesting. How do you do Lord of the Rings without him at least consulting? But I guess if it's not based on any of the works that Tolkien wrote before they passed, then it would make sense that Jackson's not involved. It does interest me, though, like, they're now playing on completely uncharted territory. They can do whatever they want and claim it as canon, which is very, very, I don't know if scary is necessarily the right word, but like they could potentially fuck up a whole generation of people and their opinions of what I consider to be the greatest movie adaptation trilogy of all time. Like this is
not Cats.
I said trilogy.
Okay.
Cats was the single
best.
Well,
when Cats gets 2 more, then your opinion will change.
Obviously.
While watching it, didn't it feel like a trilogy?
It did.
I went through a trilogy of emotions.
All of them bad.
Yeah. I really like how they're following all the different characters, though. That's a neat little thing. Because they didn't like immediately just go like, hey, it's a new fellowship. It's like, no, they're obviously going to get to that, but like I like how we're following everybody individually first.
So I agree with that, but also that's where my hesitancy and everything comes in of I liked these 2 episodes, but the one thing I didn't like is how much it cut between a bunch of different people, and there were some people I cared about much more than other people. And I think
I'm used to that from watching Game of Thrones for years.
But Lord of the Rings specifically is so much about just like camaraderie and like getting together and like doing a goal together. And I feel like until they have a big group that's going off on an adventure together, it feels like it's all the preamble to a Lord of the Rings, which I mean it is a prequel to Lord of the Rings, but you know what I mean. Like it
you got Celebrimbor in the flesh, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
my dick was
very
so hard.
exciting.
Oh yeah, my dick was so fucking hard when they were like Lord Celebrimbor, and I was like, oh yeah.
It was kind of funny though when they're just like, let him tell you himself, and just kind of like some guy just showed up and just kind of stared and didn't say a line. And it was like, oh,
it's like, oh, I guess you're Celebrimbor.
Very
That's
exciting if you know who that is, but if you do not know who that is,
if you don't know who that is, you're in for an awesome time in this show, because you're like, ooh, he's a great smith. I wonder what he's gonna do in the show called The Rings of Power. It's such a mystery.
I also straight up for 10 seconds thought it was Kevin Conroy, and it was not. It kind of looked like him from a little.
Kevin Conroy is like crazy skinny, so I can always pick him out whenever I see him in live action.
Yeah, he's more of a box-shaped Kevin Conroy.
Yeah. Which is why
he wasn't even big. He was just.
Whenever people say they want Kevin Conroy to do a live action Batman, I'm just like, no. I love his voice. He's a great Batman in animation.
I think he did do something for the CW.
He did do something for the CW. He was in a show. I don't think he was Batman.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, so this show, they introduce you to Galadriel as a small child and a young woman. I say young; it's elf years, so you know,
only a few hundred.
Yeah, definitely a few centuries at least. And it does tell the story of how the elves got to Middle-earth in the first place, which I think gets covered in one of the books. So it's not completely made up. Chris, correct me if I'm wrong.
I just said at the beginning of this that I didn't read any of them.
It's all made up, for the record. It didn't happen. Well, it's not real.
I mean, technically, sure, it is all made up, but I've much enjoyed learning how the elves got to Middle-earth in the first place, in that it was some weird, like, there's an evil in the world and we have to vanquish it because we're the only competent beings in the universe, so we have to sail the sea and go defeat it in Middle-earth, and, well, we won't leave Middle-earth until it's gone, and I'm just like, that's very American of you, to just consider yourselves the world police and just go to another part of the world to kill an evil, but, you know, that's cool. You do you, elves.
Yeah, it was really interesting where they were sailing on their ships, blaring, Valinor, fuck yeah!
To go liberate the Middle Earth.
Oh my god.
That makes total sense now. That's why Tolkien called it that, even though those books were written like 100 years before the first Iraq War. But this show does not do a good job of making you feel any sort of sympathy for the elves, and I don't know if it's trying to either. But like anytime I see an elf on screen, with the exception of Elrond and fucking I just said her name, Galadriel. Thank you. I'm just like, you're such a fucking high and mighty ass. I hate you so much. And then there's the one guy in the Southlands. What's his name? From the Watchtower. He's
the one elf that
elf.
has it down dirty for a human woman.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
An elf wants to fuck.
Oh, that's a little weird.
They want to make an abomination.
I mean, they might. I mean, I don't fucking know, but you know,
half elves abominations?
I believe technically they are. But I mean, actually, no, they're not, because Elrond's half elf, and he's like in line to be king. So I don't think they give a shit. As long as you got elf blood in you, they're just like, cool, awesome, you're one of us. I think. But I do remember his buddy saying like, an elf and a human have only mated twice in history, and it ended in tragedy. And I'm just like, why? Is it like trying to put a square peg in a round hole or something?
The half elves actually always end up buying NFTs.
That's funny. I like that. I just can't remember his name. Do you remember his name, Chris?
No,
the guy on the boat.
I do not. He was
no.
While his actions were not forgettable, he himself very much was.
Oh no, the elf we were just talking about.
That's true. He is very forgettable. He's very bland. It's just like, he's the elf, forbidden love thing.
Right. Again, I
think
help
humans.
I think he's another one that'll become more interesting when he has a group to bounce off of.
If he doesn't die before then.
I mean, yeah, but it just, I read it as they're trying to set up all the people.
Sure, but I mean, they could just be telling different stories across Middle Earth, and they might not connect at all. A couple of them might, but I don't think I don't see how Nori, the halfling, and the stranger, who I think, guys, right now, pause the show.
Gandalf.
Bets on who the stranger is.
Gandalf.
I'm saying Gandalf. Chris, Gandalf.
Yeah, it's Gandalf.
Yeah.
I was actually wondering if
it's actually Dumbledore.
Oh,
the crossover you definitely don't fucking want.
I didn't realize Tolkien was anti-trans.
Oh no. But I was wondering the entire time if they wanted us to not know it was
Tolkien
Gandalf.
is not anti-trans, by the way. I was making a joke about J.K. Rowling.
I mean, he died a long time ago. We don't know. Hopefully.
Let's pretend that he was definitely a good person when he died and had the right beliefs.
We can only hope.
Definitely wasn't hating any minorities. Anyway, Troy, continue your point, please.
Yeah, but I was starting to wonder if they wanted us to not think it was Gandalf, like if it was supposed to be a mystery, because I was like, I feel like it's pretty clearly Gandalf.
Is it though?
I mean, if it's not, I'll be surprised.
Who the fuck else looks like an old man that's super bearded and is super powerful?
They put him in a gray jacket, like a gray coat or whatever.
Well, it could be because Gandalf was the student of Saruman before he turned to the dark side and started serving Sauron.
It's true.
So this could be Saruman. We don't know.
He didn't have a curved lightsaber, so...
It would be very interesting to see Saruman as a good guy in this, and then he falls to Sauron as like a climactic battle in like season 2 or 3.
So I don't know if we're doing like a full plot summary at any point.
Probably not. No, there's a lot to go over, right. And I don't want this podcast to be 4 hours long.
They do a thing at the end where Nori and... What's her friend's name?
Poppy.
They are kind of spooked by the fact that all the fireflies start dying around him. So like him being not Gandalf and something a little bit more sinister makes sense. I don't know if that means I don't know if Saruman, because Saruman doesn't start off like that really.
No, Saruman very much in line with also being played by Ian McKellen is the Count Dooku of the Lord of the Rings world, in that he was a good guy and became a bad guy.
You mean Christopher Lee? Gandalf's Ian McKellen.
You're right. Thank you. I got my old white guys mixed up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, but he's very much the Count Dooku of Lord of the Rings. He was a good guy wizard. He trained Gandalf to be good and to believe in good. And then he was like, psych, I'm going to go follow Sauron because, like, the world's fucked and I might as well back the winning horse, right?
More like hashtag Count Dorku. Anyway.
Count Dooku.
I messed it up.
Question for you guys, and this is a little hypothesizing. Do you think we're going to witness the rings getting built or forged in this season? Or do you think it's going to be like the climax of the show?
Is it going to be like Smallville, where he like puts on a cape and a suit and then flies off, and then the show ends?
Yeah,
and like
basically.
They make the rings, and then that's the final season.
Yeah, because this very much seems like go ahead, Chris. It's hard.
I feel like that'd be really lame.
And to end the series with the rings.
Yeah, because, I mean, the big thing with the rings is that they forge, like, a bunch of them for the elves, the humans, the dwarves, and then all the, humans and dwarves go fucking insane.
It's, what was it, 7 to the men, 5 to the dwarves, and 3 to the elves?
Something like that.
So, it'd probably be a lot more interesting to see the fall of those dwarves and men. Like, if we could see them become the ring wraiths, that'd be fucking dope.
Dude, wouldn't that just be fucking awesome? I mean, Isildur is in this show. There are 2 Isildurs cast. There is a young boy, and then there's like a young man version. I'm wondering if the show ends with the battle at Mount Doom, where Isildur is supposed to cast the ring into the fires,
and
but
then he doesn't.
Yeah, I'm wondering if like that's how the show ends, is like straight up leading into the flashbacks we get in Fellowship. And we see all that stuff happening. Kind of like how fucking New Hope ends with... the shitty one that I hated. Rogue One. And, yeah, ends with Leia getting the Death Star plans. It just, like, goes right into the next one.
I believe through Jeff Ackerman do not reflect that of the podcast.
They reflect the views of the podcast because it's my show. Rogue One was fucking terrible, and I will die on that fucking hill.
Man, it's a good thing that Jeff's a really good liar.
I'm actually not. But do you think we're gonna see the war between Sauron and Middle Earth?
I think that's a much better ending.
With Isildur's fall.
The question is, are they cool with ending on a downer?
I mean, it's a prequel to Lord of the Rings.
No, I'm fine with them ending on a downer. Yeah. I'm saying, like, did they...
you think it's Amazon?
If you get in the mind of, like, a corporate Amazon director, right? Or, like, not director, but executive. Mm-hmm. Like, are they, like, I don't know, we gotta make the kids happy with the fantasy show. Like, I mean...
You could easily do it, because you have fucking Isildur falling and keeping the ring.
Yeah.
And then you just cut to Galadriel in the woods, and she's just like, I know the world will be fine one day. I can sense it, or some shit, and give her a vision of, like, Frodo and Gandalf or whatever, and end on the happy note of, like, remember Fellowship? Or you can fucking give Elijah Wood a cameo.
You could even do even less than that, and just have, like, a faraway cut to... Bilbo getting the ring from Gollum.
Yeah, there you go. Lead it into the shitty Hobbit movies.
Well, just the Hobbit
also the
story.
Opinion of the podcast.
That's fair. I don't have any positive things to say. I don't have all
I saw that
negative.
third movie twice in theaters.
Did you ever see the first one?
Nope. Don't want to.
Did you ever see the second one?
Nope.
The second one's real bad.
Yeah, I heard. And then the third one, my ex-girlfriend, she was just like, let's go see it. And I was like, okay. And then
you saw it with me.
And then I saw it with you afterwards. And I was like, God, this movie
I did not know at the
sucks.
time. I did not know at the time that you did not see the first 2.
Yeah, I did not see the first 2. Chris, is there anything else you didn't like about this?
No. Like I said before, the tone pretty much matches with the actual Lord of the Rings movie. So it feels good. It feels good to watch.
It does feel good.
It also looks fantastic. Like,
the settings are phenomenal.
I believe this show was either setting the record or like came real close to the record of like most expensive television show ever. This show is just absolutely blowing it away with the budget, and you can see it in every piece of set dressing, every piece of the costumes, the makeup department. Everything looks like this belongs in the Lord of the Rings universe with those $100 million movies.
The show literally starts with like a Nazgul grabbing a giant eagle by the neck, throwing it through a fire, and then landing in a big battle of like 10,000 orcs and elves and stuff like that. And I was just like, all right, I'll give this thing a shot. I was like,
Yeah.
it's got something going for it.
To peek behind the curtain, my fiance was next to me on the couch playing Animal Crossing on the Switch, and I could see her like looking up as like the show was starting. And then after that shit happened, I saw her close Animal Crossing, and then her eyes were just on the screen. And I was like, "You in?" And she was like, "Shut up." So
I got a very similar reaction, but for different things with my girlfriend. She showed up after all of that, where it was just a bunch of hobbits walking around, and
they're not hobbits, they're Harfoots.
Sorry, are they actually different?
yes.
Okay,
Probably. I don't know.
but when she saw the Harfoots walking around, she was actually she was walking out the door to go do something, but she stopped for a second, and she just kind of jokingly was just like, "Whoa, black people in a fantasy thing. I'm allowed to be in this now."
Harfoots, by the way, are smaller in stature than typical hobbits.
Smaller than
And they are, quote, browner of skin, end quote, in complexion.
Gotcha.
And they are the most typical of the races. They are very plentiful as far as halflings go, but they are different than hobbits, as you know of.
Gotcha.
They don't have the lucky feet that all hobbits seem to fucking have.
Yeah. The Harfoots, the Fallowhides, and Stores. And over the centuries, by the time of Bilbo and Frodo, all those three had kind of intermingled and crossbreeding, and then you basically just get hobbits.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So they're not even hobbits yet, really.
No, this is like a precursor to hobbits.
Gotcha.
Which, by the way, props to them for fucking doing that.
Yeah, they 100% could have said hobbits, and I don't think... I mean, people would have complained, but not...
The people who read the books would have complained, but
Yeah.
the fact that they are a Harfoots, it's just like, oh shit, that's cool.
And
So
yet they couldn't do bearded dwarven ladies.
So they couldn't, but like, I don't.
I mean,
know
they
if
absolutely
that-
could. They put a billion
They
fucking
could've.
dollars into this, and it's
That's
an
true.
Amazon
They could've.
show. So at some point, we're gonna get an evil Superman figure in this.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That's vaguely tied to Jeff Bezos.
yeah. Do you guys hear
Sauron's
Jeff
gonna rip
Bezos,
off his
like-
mask, and it's Jeff Bezos underneath.
Ooh!
You guys hear Bezos gave them notes after watching the pilot of The Hobbit, and the fucking director, whose name is or one of the J.A. Bayona, I believe, he just balled them up and threw them away. He literally didn't even look at them.
I want to know what the notes said.
And then Bezos was like, "Yup, he was absolutely right to do that." But like, isn't it every director's dream to get notes from the executive at the company?
No.
And the guy was like, "No, it's not my dream at all.
I can't-
Jeff, shut the fuck up."
I'm not gonna pretend like I know everything about the industry of entertainment or whatever. I feel like that's the least likely thing for anybody to want usually.
Yeah.
Whenever I think about like movies that end up being like really really bad, people almost always turn to like executive producer meddling.
Yeah. One of the things I will say that I want to bring up is you guys know how much I fucking love Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Two of my favorite TV shows of all time. We haven't covered them on the podcast because we don't need to suck their dick anymore. Vince Gilligan knows how great he is, creating two of the best shows on television back to back. He's great. Awesome.
We'd
However,
be banned off of YouTube for explicit content.
one of his writers who has multiple awards for her writing on Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, her name is Jennifer Hutchison. She works on this show as a lead writer,
Okay.
which gives me a hell of a lot of faith in this show because Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul do not have a single bad episode in their entire run. I will stand by that point, and I don't think anybody will dispute that. There are 6 seasons of Breaking Bad, and not a single episode is bad, not a single episode is filler. Everything is fucking marvelous beginning to end. Better Call Saul is the same way, and I believe they also did 6 seasons, maybe 5. I lost count.
Welcome to the Better Call Saul episode of this podcast, as Jeff
No.
sucked their dicks. Like he
Again,
said
we're
he
going to get
wasn't
banned off
gonna
of
do.
YouTube. We're going to get banned off of YouTube. You cannot show that. You cannot show a cock down somebody's neck that much. Anyway, so Jeff, what is your favorite thing about this episode or these episodes? What's your favorite things about the show?
My favorite thing so far is that Galadriel is a huge badass bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Like Galadriel in the show, everyone's like, "Oh, this amazing woman," and I'm just like, she gave Frodo light in a vial.
The
I
movie,
don't get
man.
it. In the movie, yeah. In the movie, there's like I don't get why Galadriel is so great. At
Well,
all.
remember that one time she yelled at him and turned all weird looking.
Yeah, sure. And I'm like, all right, so she's got power, I guess, but like I don't get it. Back to the cool stuff in Lord of the Rings. And then like this show, they're like Galadriel, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then they're like, oh, she decided she didn't want to go to the Elven homelands, so she jumped overboard and just swam home. Like, okay.
In the first half, she just stabs a troll in the top of the head. Like, it's
That was
single-handedly just murders a frost troll. Or snow troll, I think they're called.
ice or whatever. They're
Who
a
cares?
chili boy.
Chili boy, yeah, a chili boy.
A frosted
she-
boy, if you will.
A frosty boy. Yeah, she just murders this frosty boy and just absolutely destroys it. And then her whole fucking army is like, nah, we're not following you no more. And I'm just like, why? She's the greatest. Shut the fuck up. Follow her. But no. We gotta go home, and the king has to send us back to the homelands. And that was a great scene when they're on the ship going over the ocean, and all these, like, I guess maids or something are just undoing all their ceremonial armor. And that armor was so fucking intricate and well made. I have no doubt it was 100% like physical, practical props. And all the intricate hinges and everything, it was really, really well
one
done.
of the things that surprised me was all the orcs look like their costumes so far.
Yes, the orcs do look like they did in Lord of the Rings. And I wouldn't be surprised if Bezos, with all of his Emperor Palpatine money, did not manage to somehow go into the Hollywood lots and get some of the old Jackson props.
I mean, I wonder
Or at least hire some of the same costumers.
I wonder how much of it was them terrified after The Hobbit, because The Hobbit they did CGI orcs and they don't look bad. They just look not. They just don't look
CGI
inspiring.
orcs.
Yeah,
Yeah, they look real bad. And
looks
you know
like
what?
it looks like Warcraft.
I forgot about that shitty CGI orcs in the Hobbit movies until you reminded me. So thanks for that. But
Again, it's not even that they're terrible. It's just that you have something to compare them to that's like the
Good?
best costuming in all of media.
yeah, in all of cinema, you have like this amazing like the bar is up here, and the Hobbit was like, let's not go that far in making these follow-up movies to one of the most beloved film franchises of all time.
The big thing about it was the Hobbit movies were talking up the CGI so much. They're like, yeah, you're gonna like this way more than the costumes. And it came out and people were like, no, we want the costumes actually.
yeah, we do. It's like when the fucking prequels came out and they were like CGI Yoda, and everyone was like, no.
Well, first, remember they went puppet Yoda, or the animatronic Yoda.
Animatronic Yoda. And everyone was
Animatronic Yoda is something else.
like, Phantom Menace Yoda was
Oh
funny.
boy.
He was funny.
What a time.
Chris, what's your favorite stuff about these
I was
episodes?
literally opening my mouth to say that. Thank you, Troy. You're a good co-host sometimes.
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 I think the storyline in the Southlands is probably the most interesting at this point. Aside from Galadriel being a bad bitch. The stuff with the stranger, I feel is going to get more interesting, but right now it's sort of slow. So the Southlands brings some very much needed action into these first couple episodes that the opening scene provided, and then this is like adding on to it. It's keeping the action up.
What do you think of the healer lady's son regrowing the sword of Sauron with his
God, I
own
want
blood?
to punch him in the fucking face.
What an annoying little shit.
I knew
right?
that Chris would hate this kid. I specifically was like, this kid's kind of annoying. I know that Chris will fucking hate him.
Doesn't Chris famously love kids though? I don't
All of them.
understand.
Oh,
yes.
that fucking reminds me. When Galadriel's a kid, it's good to know that elven children are also pretty bad.
Oh yeah, everyone's a dick. Sinking her little ship. But no, that little kid, I can't remember his name. I think it was like Theo.
Yes.
Yeah, which is weird in a fantasy world that there's just a kid named Theo. It's just a weird normal name. It's not weird, and I guess that's what's weird about it. But anyway, he finds like the hilt of Sauron's sword buried somewhere in the town, like under the floorboards of this guy's farm. And he's got it, and he goes to hold it, and some cut on his hand. The blood draws itself into the hilt and just ignites, and then there's all that black smoke.
Yeah, vampire sword.
Yeah, vampire sword. And then it, like, starts regenerating the sword. And I'm just like, God damn. As if you didn't know Sauron was really evil. His sword regrows itself with blood.
Also, I will say this. You were talking about how annoying the kid is. Hey, if anybody finds an evil hilt and it forms into a sword with your blood, maybe tell your parents. Just tell an adult.
Maybe tell your mom.
Just talk to your mom.
If you
Your mom
find
who's
ancient
best-
evils
You're not gonna get in
underneath the
trouble.
barn, tell an adult.
You're not going to get in trouble. Just tell your mom.
I mean, you might get in trouble. let's not lie to nobody. You're probably in a lot of trouble. But also
More trouble if you don't tell an adult, and then an evil sorcerer man takes over the world later.
So I'm wondering, do you think Sauron is going to influence this kid and have him start being like a bad person?
I
Like
think he's
killing-
going to influence him enough to stab that one elf in the back with the Sauron
That's
sword.
what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that he's going to end up killing that elf. And
God, I wish I knew his name.
Me too, man. They said it like once or twice, I think. But yeah,
Jeff, can you
I
look it up
couldn't-
real quick? It's going to drive me insane.
Please do. Be a good podcast co-host. But I don't see that kid having a happy ending now that he seems to be really linked to this evil sword of vampire magic. So that's fucking terrible. But like, God fucking damn, why'd you touch the damn sword, Theo? Should have just left it alone. But now you have the Sword of Sauron, and now it's regenerating itself thanks to your blood. You're gonna be the death of us all, man. It's your fault. Troy, what was your favorite part?
My favorite part, for sure, and part of the reason that I want people to get together and go on an adventure together is every time they cut back to Elrond and Durin, I specifically the two of them talking to each other, just literally just smashing rocks and then going to dinner with the guy's wife. For some reason, all of that worked for me. And it was also like, I think
It was pretty well done.
I think it's because it was the most sort of human kind of stuff in the show.
By the way,
Between a dwarf and
That elf's name was Arondir. Arondir. Arondir.
Thank you, Chris.
yeah, but I thought that those two specifically were charming. I thought that they were like fun to be around. I thought that the conflict of him being like, yeah, you live to be like 20,000 years old. You missed my wedding and the birth of my kids. Like, I'm pissed. Like, it doesn't matter that much to you. It matters to me.
But like, did you send him an Evite?
That's a whole question.
And did he say I'm coming, or did he say maybe? Because like, that's the thing. I get
Did
Facebook
you send the
invites all the
giant
time.
eagles to inform him?
How did he get the message that you were even gonna have a kid? I feel like in Middle Earth, if a dwarf sends a message to the elves that my wife is going to have a child, you send that like the day you find out that you're pregnant. The eagle gets to them. They start walking to you. By the time you get there, the kid's already in college.
There's a lot of walking. Yeah.
Like time is so fucking weird, and there's so much land, and nobody gets around anywhere except on foot. It seems.
Unless the plot demands it, at which point Elrond and Celebrimbor get there in like 5 seconds.
I mean, they're also elves that have like ungodly strong endurance, maybe, or maybe it's actually not. Actually, from the map, it's not terribly far away. Where they were at the realm of the elven smiths versus the realm of the dwarven smiths, they weren't terribly far away. It didn't seem like it was a long walk, maybe a couple days at most.
Oh, that reminds me. It was fucking dope to see Khazad-dûm in its glory.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. First thing I said when they opened the doors up, I was like, holy shit. I was talking to my fiance, and I was like, dude, we get to see the dwarven halls in all their glory, and they're not ruined, and we don't have a sad Gimli kind of bumming us out. Like, everything looks great, man.
So that's the whole thing with the show is if you think about the Lord of the Rings movies, there's a lot of stuff that never really get, because they can't add stuff into it because it's already a 9-hour movie, each of them. Like
They could probably fit a couple more scenes in there.
Name the coolest Sauron fight scene. You can't because there isn't one. Like this show has a chance to like put Sauron in armor in front of somebody. It has a chance of like showing a Khazad-dûm It has like a bunch of the stuff that's in the world that isn't in the Lord of the Rings movies at all. Like this can kind of be a hindsight. Yeah, this can be like a hindsight thing where it's like, yeah, here's all the things that people want to see that wasn't in the originals. Not that anybody's complaining about the originals, but like
no, but it's like, oh, but did they ever explain what happened to the dwarves in the originals?
Yeah, they did a little bit, but
okay. Again, it's been a minute since I've seen the movies. I didn't have 3 weeks to spare to watch them all. But it is great to see the dwarves in their absolute heyday, just like living it up, doing their thing. And it's nice to know that like they have a custom of like you can ask for the right of blah blah blah,
right of
and
endurance.
You can challenge them. What is it?
Right of endurance.
Well, yeah, but that's not the word they said. But I understand what you mean.
Yeah, that's because I can't speak Dwarven.
Exactly. But like, oh, we're just gonna keep smashing rocks until one of us is too tired to keep smashing rocks.
I also like the fact that they let Doran win in the show. Like they didn't turn it around and be like, actually, the elf won. Like
I feel like he gave up. I think Elrond could have kept going.
I don't know. I like the idea because then if they do team up and do a big adventure thing or things together, then you're like, well, why isn't he just doing it? He's obviously better at it.
Yeah. It is really nice seeing the origins of like the furnace and the smelter that's going to go into making the rings. And he's like, oh, and Celebrimbor's like, I need like the hottest, purest furnace that's ever existed, and I need your help to build it by spring. And Elrond's like, you what, mate? The fuck? That's insane. However, my dwarvy friends can maybe help us out. And it's like, well, we know they're gonna build it in Mount Doom. Like that's what happens, right? They have to go into Mordor and build it in Mount Doom. But like, how does that happen? I'm so excited to follow the Celebrimbor storyline. I really am. I've loved Celebrimbor ever since fucking
Shadows of Mordor.
Shadow of Mordor. Thank you. And where you play as fucking Celebrimbor and you hear about his backstory and all that stuff, even though he's voiced by the same guy who does Garrus, so it was highly distracting. But I'm super fascinated to follow Celebrimbor, and I feel like he's probably the most boring aspect of the show so far.
More like Celebrimbor.
Sure. I feel like most people are probably bored by Celebrimbor, but I'm just like, yes, please, more of this.
So everybody else says Celebrimbor, and you say more Celebrimbor.
I don't like you.
Jeff, can we kick him off the podcast?
Are you guys feeling a little Celebrim sore?
Jeff, I'm quitting the podcast.
Am I going to get Celebrim ignored?
Oh my god, please.
Stop! This is worse than when I burp.
Are you saying that this joke is a Celebrim shore?
Oh my god! I'm going to end you.
Celebrim shore.
Chris, did you have a favorite part? I think we already asked you this.
You already asked
another favorite
me.
part? Yeah, I did.
No, I've already spoken about my favorite
Troy,
parts.
what was your favorite part?
I already went.
Jeff, what was your favorite part?
I don't have a good memory at all. Oh my gosh. I should cut this out. Make myself sound better. Favorite part for me is hard to pick. Like everything was I was pretty much on the edge of my seat the whole time I was watching these 2 episodes. They really did a good job of dragging me in and making me care about almost everyone. I don't really give a shit about the halfling storyline yet, but it's interesting enough that like I don't go on my phone when they're on screen.
So I feel like them and what'd you say the elf's name was?
Arendir.
Which elf?
The Arendir.
Arendir. Yeah.
I feel like the Harfoots and Arendir have the opposite thing going for them. I feel like the Harfoots are very charming, and they don't have a whole lot going on yet. And I feel like Arendir has a lot going on, and he is not very charming so far. Like he's I think he's the most boring so far.
He is certainly very boring. Yes, he reminds me of Grey Worm from Game of Thrones, which I know you didn't watch, Troy.
Mm-hmm.
But he's very much like the strong, silent type.
Yeah.
Just kind of doing his thing.
Which, again, can work in a group.
And then he gets kidnapped at the end of episode 2. You remember that? He's sitting on the edge of the lake, and he just gets fucking yoinked. So, fucking goodbye, I guess. Nah, I'm sure he'll be back.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
He'll be fine. Do you guys have any predictions for season 1? Do you have any, what you want to see, what you don't want to see? Keep in mind, the show was already renewed for season 2.
All I want, and I don't know a whole lot of Lord of the Rings lore. All I want is to see how they handle like the first giant battle.
Okay.
That's not like the beginning of the show.
Oh, I thought you meant like giants.
No.
And
I mean
was
like
are giants in Lord of the Rings?
no, I mean like hundreds of thousands of people.
Okay, yeah,
in a big
the first big fat.
Yeah.
Big. I was gonna say fattle, but no, it's big fight or big battle.
Yes.
Jesus
I mean,
Christ.
we
Yeah,
should be
'cause
getting one
that-
with the Southlands where they're hiding in the Elven Watchtower. That should hopefully be a pretty large fight.
Yeah,
what
it
it
sounds
sounds
like
like.
they're gonna get assaulted by some orky dudes while they're hiding up in there. Which it was that thing that the healer lady and her son killed. Was that an orc?
No,
Yes.
that was a locust.
No. Oh god damn
Oh
it!
God, you're making a Gears of War reference. I was pretty sure it was an orc, but my fiance was like, maybe it's a goblin or something, and I'm like, do goblins exist in this world?
They do specifically I do know this because of the books actually. In The Hobbit, like the first page of it says that orcs and goblins are essentially the same thing.
Okay,
So like whenever you see
they're greenwashing it.
yeah. So whenever
Very
you
well
see
put, Jeff.
Thank you.
whenever you see like kind of the skinnier sort of like gross looking orcs in the movie, that they'd probably just be called goblins by people.
Interesting, but they are still orcs. They do still follow Sauron.
Yeah, they're all the same guys.
Interesting. So the orcs are very much still alive, and
Mhm.
also the orcs are alive because fucking what's his name?
And
That's-
also Lord of the Rings has to happen.
well, yes, but also Galadriel when she ends up on that little shipwreck driftwood boat thing with handsome dude Mick douchebag man. He tells her that his hometown was destroyed by orcs, and it's like, wait, you're not that old. This happened recently. I'm excited. That means orcs are afoot, and they're doing orky things. This
Galadriel was
is
also
interesting.
excited because she gets to kill more orcs.
Yes. I believe that's her entire character arc at this point is just murder orcs.
Well, she has
Until-
to eventually chill out a little bit.
Yeah, she needs to become that
Galadriel.
mellow person that just gives people gifts.
Yeah.
She needs to become
Yeah.
Elven Santa at some point.
I have seen a bunch of things because there is like a weird backlash to the show from all the people that you'd expect it to be.
What does Ben
and-
Shapiro think of it, Troy?
Probably not great. Can we do a Ben Shapiro review? Just review
yeah.
Ben
Thumbs
Shapiro
down,
as a
thumbs
person.
down, several thumbs down, all the thumbs down.
But
Ben Shapiro, if you're listening, go fuck yourself.
well, he does listen to this podcast. It's true.
Ben Shapiro, bro, I bet you $1 million Ben Shapiro has like 1 million podcasts on his phone, and he listens to all of them regularly. And I wouldn't be surprised if I found out one of the 20 people that regularly listens to this is Ben Shapiro.
I
don't
feel like-
care if I lose.
all right.
Well, I mean,
subscribers.
he has
Well,
all
what if-
podcasts play simultaneously while he's having dry sex with his wife.
because the pussy should not be that wet. I don't understand.
I think if you started putting Ben Shapiro's name in our title or our description, I feel like we might get him.
Let's not do that.
He's a narcissist. There's no way he doesn't Google himself regularly.
Yeah, but what if we got him?
Great, I can tell him fuck you in person.
Anyway, what was I gonna say about the actual show at hand?
I've got an evil Ben Shapiro story to tell you off air. Remind me.
But what I was saying was there's like a weird backlash to the show, and there's a lot of people who are like, so she has a line in the show, Galadriel does, where she says something like, without the sword, who am I? And then people are showing pictures of her from Lord of the Rings and be like, that. And it's like, yeah, when people are younger, they're not who they are when they're older. Do you know that? Did
Yeah.
you understand that time moves in a linear fashion?
Yeah, no shit. There's like fucking 400 or 500 years between this show and that.
Hey, guess what? Remember when Iron Man was a douchebag selling weapons to terrorists? Remember
Yeah.
when he died to save the universe? Did
Hey,
you think
I
like
will have you know that my motivations have not changed since I was an infant, and those motivations are breasts.
it's just
Eat, sleep, suck titties.
all right?
Same motivation since I was a child.
Yep.
It's just a weird sort of thing that I've been seeing where people are like people don't understand
People don't understand
arcs.
character development.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so weird. The internet doesn't understand minutia and the details to things. Explain more, Troy.
I mean, they're also upset that they have black people in the show, so whatever.
I noticed there was a lot more people of color in this show compared to like the movies, and I was like, interesting, but like I dig it.
You moved on with your life.
I was like, huh, that's neat, and then I immediately got over it, like fucking like a normal fucking person. I don't understand people. I really fucking don't. People suck.
People as a whole are pretty awful.
Yeah.
Probably because they come from being kids.
Yeah. Chris, which is your most favorite arc at the moment, and what do you expect to happen in season 1?
I expect we'll finally get to see big battles, and we'll get to see orcs die, and we'll get to see people die. I'm figuring a lot of those people from the Southlands are probably dead. I don't think Eredir's going to get his happily ever after with his human bride.
No, for sure not. No.
Yeah, so that arc is probably the most exciting at the moment, just because it has probably the earliest payoff.
Yeah, there's certainly like the first bad guys are present down in the Southlands.
Do we know how many episodes this season is?
I believe it's 8.
8?
Yes. 8 episodes in season 1, and then season 2 will begin filming in October.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So right around the time season 1 wraps in like mid-October, they're going to start filming season 2. And they're filming it in the UK, which will be really nice for all of those like sprawling prairie scenes and all like the highlands kind of stuff. So I'm very excited because I love the UK geography, and I think it's perfect for a show like this.
I don't know how how important any of these characters are later on, except for Durin, Elrond, Celebrimbor, Galadriel. Everybody else and Sauron. Yeah. Anybody else, I don't know how important they are in the lore of things. I kind of want to see them kill somebody by the end of the season.
I mean, I think that was the point of introducing a lot of people we don't know, is that they can kill them and not affect the lore of the original movies.
But they also do a thing. It's the thing that I always point out in Lord of the Rings, where they do a lot of fake out deaths. Like Gandalf dies and then isn't dead. Aragorn dies and then isn't dead. Frodo even dies and isn't dead with the spider. Like there's a lot of them. There's another one I'm not thinking of. Boromir's brother is what was that?
Faramir?
Yeah, he's the one that they're gonna torch, right? And then he's not actually dead.
I don't remember. All I remember is his name. Sorry.
There's just a lot of somebody dies and then everybody's like, that character's dead, and then the character's not dead.
But there was a lot of killing.
Somehow Palpatine returns.
Yes.
Somehow Palpatine returned. The biggest entertainment company in the world read that line and said, "Yup, that works."
And that's why I drink.
Yeah. But they did a lot of killing. They threw Saruman off a tower.
Well,
they stabbed the Witch King in the face.
Yeah, but those are bad guys. That's different.
Boromir died at the end of the first movie.
Yeah, well, that's the big one. That's the one that they did not change.
Sean Bean is totally dead, man.
Well, he always
Sean Bean is very famous for dying.
Yeah. They haven't even announced the fucking title of the rest of the episodes, or even the next episode that's supposed to come out in like 4 days. So I'm very excited to continue watching this show. And, the soundtrack, by the way, hugely awesome soundtrack. It was done by a guy named Bear McCreary. He's very famous for doing the score of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And Battlestar Galactica and The Walking Dead.
Gotcha.
Which, hugely popular shows. Very, very commercially successful. Walking Dead, maybe not so much these days. But, who cares? So, I mean... This has all the elements of a good show. It's starting to show promise. The question is, can they clinch the deal? Can they finish it out without becoming a drag or being terrible?
I mean, worst case scenario, this ends with just having it's a really visually interesting journey that you're gonna get cool sword fights out of, and that's enough to get a C from me.
Yeah.
Can the rest of it carry me? Is what I'm saying. Is what I'm thinking.
I think there's a very good chance. Chris, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking the show is paying off pretty well so far, especially since I don't typically watch TV and movies, and I'm happy to continue watching this of my own accord.
Weird that you're on a TV and movies review podcast.
God, it's almost like having differing opinions is good for content, and also I like hanging out with my friends.
Disagree.
Completely disagree. What the fuck? I just want to hear an echo chamber.
Cancel
for
him.
an hour.
Cancel him.
Chris, you're canceled. I'm sorry, pal.
Shit.
All right. I think that about does it then. I don't have anything else to add. Troy, do you have anything else to add?
Pudding.
Perfect. Then that concludes this episode of the TB&J podcast. Thank you all for listening so much. If you liked us, please leave us a kind review on your favorite podcasting platform. Give us a nice rating, 5 stars, subscribe on Spotify, all those fun things. You can also check us out on Patreon. That's patreon.com/TB&J podcast. And also coffee.com/TB&J podcast. I'm going to put the linky-doos in the diddly-doo description.
And leave a comment if you missed me a whole bunch and are happy that I'm back.
Yes. Leave a comment if you did not miss Chris and you want to be gone again.
Yes, either way, let us know how you feel about Chris and his attendance or lack thereof. All right, that concludes everything here. Have a nice night. Bye-bye.